Welcome to the live. I'm a bit I'm a bit all over the shop actually because we were talking about carbs there. I don't know what's going on. Normally got a second to kind of prepare, but never mind. It is what it is. Right, listen, we've got Dean Hynd in with us today. So Dean is all about building muscles and lifting up heavy shit. He's a bit of a monster in the gym. So I go to jiu-jitsu with Dean on a Friday, and it's pretty shit if he pins me down because I can't move. He's strong as a motherfucker and just brilliant all-round coach at building muscle. So he's going to help share his knowledge with us today. So if you're watching this one live, guys, make sure you drop a wee hashtag live in the chat. And if you're watching on replay, drop a wee hashtag replay so we can see what time this gets to you at. And if you've got any questions as we go through this, Dean and I will be having a bit of a blather. If you've got any questions about training, exercise, building muscle, anything at all along those lines, then just make sure you drop them in the chat so we can get them answered on the call. We've already got a couple of questions somewhere, so I'm going to pull them up just now, and then we'll get stuck in. So Dean, just while I'm looking for these, dude, thank you so much for hopping on, man. I really appreciate it. It'd be good to get you on and pick your brain a wee bit. So I'm not going to butcher introductions, man. I'm going to leave that to kind of you to tell us a bit about yourself, your backstory, kind of what got you into building muscles and all that kind of shit, and then we'll take it from there, dude. So, yeah.
No worries. Well, as Iain said, my name's Dean Hynd. It's a funny story, actually. Iain mentioned that we trained jiu-jitsu together, and I remember playing the Xbox 360 when I was about 15 years old, so I'm 27 now, and I was always fascinated by the jiu-jitsu side of MMA because it suited the smaller guys. Now, I was always a skinny guy growing up, super skinny. Couldn't put on any, well, thought I couldn't put on any muscle, couldn't put on any fat. So I wanted to get into something that would make myself feel a bit more comfortable and confident within myself. So I looked into jiu-jitsu and I joined a wee club in Cowdenbeath. Now, went for a few classes and I started loving it. And then I broke my wee toe, so I was like, oh god, what am I going to do now? So me being me, I've always been active, I've always played sports and stuff, so I thought, right, what can I do whilst this toe heals? And it was coming up for Christmas, and I asked my mum to get me a weight set. So I started lifting weights. I found a program online. It was like a teen workout schedule thing or that, so I followed that, and then a few weeks into it I started noticing myself getting a wee bit stronger, and then a month, 2 months, getting a wee bit more defined, and from there that lasted, well, until now, pretty much.
Hey, man.
So yeah, I've been training since I was 15 with weights.
Yeah.
I've not been you know, as Iain said, I'm back training jiu-jitsu and stuff now, so I kind of try and get that in as well as the weightlifting. But yeah, since I was 15, that's where my muscle building career started, as you would say.
Happy days, man. Happy days. See, just to kind of touch on a wee question I'll ask, because I see this a lot with people coming up, and it's all I get it from the opposite perspective. For me, it'll be people saying, I can't lose weight. I've tried everything, I can't lose weight.
Yeah.
I also see it from other people, not that obviously it's not what I work with, it's not what I do, but people say, I can't put on weight, I can't eat muscle, I can't, like, so you were obviously in that camp where you thought, I'm skinny, I can't put on fat. How, like, what changed that for you, man? Like, what kind of made that switch, and how did you start gaining that weight?
Well, like I say, once I started to see myself progress and getting stronger, because for building muscle and stuff, the strength always comes before the actual physical change. That's where a lot of people get a wee bit put off by it, because they don't see their biceps growing as soon as they would like. But once I started to notice that I was getting a wee bit more defined, I say, this is actually working. If I keep going with this, I mean, the progress should keep going the way it's going. So, and it did. Like I say, I was following this program online, and then once I was doing that, I think it was about a year I followed this one, I started to investigate further, exercises and different movements and stuff, and I just incorporated that. And believe it or not, I actually started training off in my room because I was that shy to go to a gym. And I believe I was 16 coming up for 17, and I had a wee moped, and I got some of my mates together, and we says, let's join the gym. So having those guys beside me as well, training with me, helped. You know, because it's not easy to get yourself into a gym every single day, or how often you want to go, you know. But having those guys with me, and that gave me the confidence and the wee bit of banter to. Yeah. So yeah, it was just a gradual. Oh, we'll add this exercise, or we'll try this movement, and then it just kind of spiraled from there, really.
Yeah, man. I think that's such a big part of it, isn't it? Is that whole trial and error thing. I think people, while they're completely different, like building muscle and losing weight. Ignore the dogs. There's somebody at my door. So, while they're completely different in terms of kind of what they do, I think people's expectations when it comes to losing fat and building muscle are very similar. I think they think they're just going to hop on a plan or start doing something and it's going to happen overnight. It fucking doesn't work that way, man. It just doesn't work that way. Muscle building is fucking slow, man. It takes time.
And you know what works for me might not necessarily work for you as well. You know, everyone's different in that sense as well. Because, like I say, I went with my mates and we were doing, you know, this plan religiously, and one of my other guys, he was getting strong really quick, and one of the other friends was like, how the fuck are you getting so strong? And I'm not. We're doing the same stuff, you know. But that's just the way it is, unfortunately. Everyone's built differently, and everyone reacts differently to certain programs. So
yeah, man. And that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, everybody's body is different. Even some, like you say, everybody's going to respond in different ways. Everybody's got different muscle fibers, different ways their bodies are made up. So it's if everybody responded the same way, it'd be a pretty fucking boring world, eh?
It would be.
Yeah, for sure, man. So see what, excuse me. See, once you started like doing the lifting, when you started kind of lifting, getting a wee bit stronger, you were still doing jiu-jitsu at the time. Did you find, obviously there's going to be a benefit, but what benefit did you find from that? Like when you started getting stronger, did you find it made you better? Were you more confident in jiu-jitsu? Like how did it kind of impact you?
Well, going back to when I was 15, I actually stopped jiu-jitsu because I got that addicted to the weightlifting. But I think, you know, at this present time, obviously having that muscle it helps. It does help with strength, and believe it or not, I found my flexibility's been a lot better due to the weightlifting. But it's not until really recently that I've started doing stretching exercises as well. Because, you know, when you're that young, 16-year-old, you know, you didn't want to be, and even thinking about it back then, no one really promoted stretching. But right, like now, it's really, there's a lot of guys into yoga and stuff. Probably Joe Rogan's got a lot to play.
Yeah, man.
That's for me anyway. That's where I was like, right, well, you know, he's got his guests on and stuff, and they're all saying, yeah, it's just stretch and yoga, it's this and that. And I mean, if they're all doing it, then it's got to be beneficial. So yeah, I've incorporated that into my training as well. And touch wood, my injury proneness has went down from, you know, lifting weights. So a lot of thing what you'll find is when people start lifting weights, they'll add too much weight onto the bar, you know, show off in front of their mates or that, and then boom, their shoulder's gone, or they've damaged their back or something like that. So yeah, stretching and that definitely is beneficial for that as well.
See, just to kind of touch on something there, and just before anybody pipes in that knows I've got a sore shoulder, that's not why my shoulder hurts. It was not. I was caught on a jiu-jitsu move. But no, just the whole you spoke about this is why I enjoy training by myself. All right, and I think in the early stages for people when they're struggling to get to a gym, having mates to go with is a fucking brilliant thing, because it just gets you there, man. It gets you out of the house and gets you moving. You've got that accountability. You've got that wee bit of motivation to get you to where you want to go. But for me, once it gets to a point, like I was going with a couple of guys previously, years ago, And they were a fucking nightmare for him. And they're like, oh, how much can you squat? How much can you bench? Let's see if we can do this. And then it got to a point, technique was out the fucking window, and you're just grinding up this lift, like, oh, I can fucking push that up.
Yeah.
And the next day you're fucked. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I like training by myself for that reason, because it's so easy to get caught up in that whole ego lift mentality, isn't it? It really is, man. See, just on the kind of front, like two things I want to ask. Did you find that stretching, when you added that in, did that then benefit your lifting in terms of being able to lift better or being able to lift more? Did you find a kind of a crossover in
that? I wouldn't say I was able to lift more. What I would say the benefit for me is the day after. I feel more loose and I get reduced soreness, but that's hard to say because I've been lifting weights for so long. That's another thing with someone who just get into weights. They'll get what's called DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness, and that it's a good thing because it suggests that you've really gave the muscle a good workout. But a lot of people, when they first start, they'll, if they do legs, a heavy leg session, their legs will be sore for a week. Walking down the stairs like John Wayne, but yeah, I find that for me, especially in my legs, actually my quads and my hamstrings, if I do a sufficient stretch afterwards, then the following day I'm a bit more loosened up and a bit less painful, let's say. But
so it's more from a kind of recovery standpoint then, as opposed to
yeah, for sure. Probably some injury prevention as well. Like I think stretching definitely helps with that.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. It's a funny thing because when I came from, for anybody doesn't know my background story wise, I came from a karate background. I was never into lifting weights. I was quite a fat, chunky little kid, so my mum put me into karate to stop the bullies picking on me. But that was kind of where I went, and then that. Like they were always big on you stretch before the class and get yourself stretched out, which is a really shit way to do things, man. Like don't stretch before you go and exercise, like warm up and then stretch after. But we were always kind of stretching before, we stretch after. So flexibility was never really a problem for me. But what I found is because I was stretching so much, there was a lot of weaknesses and imbalances there in terms of like my joints were super loose, so it led to a lot of injury. Whereas now, like because I've incorporated more weight training into my training or my exercise regimes, and I'm warming up properly before I do any of that shit, and then stretching after, I've managed to maintain my flexibility, but I've also got a lot more strength and stability through those ranges of motion because I'm doing things the right way, as opposed to just becoming this big flaccid beastie that just stretches all the time. I don't think that was the kind of right approach at all. But
yeah, that's another massive thing with weight training is warming up properly as well.
Hey, man.
And I'm quite lucky actually. The program that I found when I first started, the guy was major on proper form, properly warming up your body, especially the older you are as well. Like you can get away with it a bit more the younger you are, but the older you are, as you say, your joints are already in that vulnerable state. Especially if, like you say, if you've never lifted weights before and you've just been overstretched and whatever. And it's a good point that you brought up about the stretching pre-training as well. One thing that always stuck for me from my PE class in high school was think of your muscles as blue tack. What happens when you stretch a cold piece of blue tack? Just snaps.
Yep.
And warm it up. It's stretchy. So that's something that really, really stuck with me.
Hey, man. Yeah.
It's a good way to think of your muscles as well. So always.
Yeah, no, it's true, dude. See, in terms of your warm-ups then, like what do you do for a warm-up? Because you're like, again, there's some people who look at the whole there was a weightlifting group I was in. I can't remember what it was called, man. But they shot me down because I promoted a warm-up and some mobility and all that kind of stuff. Like, no, get under the bar and just do warm-up sets, like light load. And I'm like, all right, fucking hell, man. Like they proper shot me down. Like, what is your approach? Do you do like a warm-up routine, or do you just get under the bar and start doing some light reps, or like what's your kind of usual go-to?
I've always done. So, for example, if I'm going to do a chest press, like a bench press or that, I'll get the you can do this with bands as well. I've not got any bands to show you, but like if you have it's an in and out of rotation, you'll know this for your shoulder recovery. So you've got the back here, and it's just that way.
Yeah, got you.
And
Okay.
then obviously the other way. So I would always do that, like 30 reps each way, really, really, really light resistance. That just warms up your rotator cuff and stuff. And then, so for example, if I'm going to do a bench press, I will literally just get under the bar, but I'll do 20 reps with just the barbell.
Got you.
And then I'll increase the weight slightly, do maybe 15 reps, increase the weight slightly down to about 8 reps. And then that should you be warmed up enough for your working sets then.
That's really going. Yeah, nice. I like it. And how then? So once you do your working sets, then, so you were speaking earlier about what a mistake that people make is it goes back to that ego lifting where they just try and crank the weight up as high as they can. What do your working sets look like, and how do you progress that in terms of kind of increasing weight or increasing sets to get that kind of progressive overload going on?
Well, the way I do it, and the way that a lot of other people do it as well in the bodybuilding community, is track the workouts. So obviously the weight that you've done and how many reps, and then try to either progress the weight on your next session for the same reps or keep the same weight and increase your reps. But obviously the most important thing is that you maintain good form. So in order to do that, obviously if you're training with someone, they're going to be there to help you, spot you. If you struggle, they can give you a lift up. If you're by yourself, then I suggest using a bench press that's got stoppers for you. If not, you can use dumbbells, and you can do them on the floor so that the floor stops your range of motion naturally, or a Smith machine, and you can set those to you can set the pins to stop the range of motion when you get to there. But what I would say is don't be scared to push yourself. And there's a lot of people that will go into the gym and say, right, I've set myself a goal of 8 reps with this weight. And if they get to the 7th rep and it's going up fairly easily, they shouldn't quit on the 8th rep. I feel that you should have a little bit of struggle as long as you're still, not going to injure yourself. Like I say, that's where those, either the spotter or the safety catch bars can come in really well, because you want to struggle through the last rep. In my opinion, it's the best way to really, really transform your physique. And it's something that you see quite common in the gym. A lot of guys will go and they'll kind of half-ass it. But yeah, for me, always training to pretty much failure has been the most beneficial for me.
Nice. Okay. So do you go to failure then pretty much with every set, or do you leave any? Because I know there's a big movement. The guys that do the whole Mind Pump podcast, they're big fans of leaving a couple in the tank. So do you go to failure on every set, or is there a couple that you would leave 1 or 2 in the tank, or like what's your kind of is that just your strategy all the time?
Yes, I always go to failure. Yeah. So typically, if I'm doing 2 working sets, for example, I'll set the first set to 6 to 8 reps. So I'll pick a weight. Obviously, I'll be doing it a while, so I'll know which weight roughly will give me those reps. And I'll go to failure on those both working sets every time. Obviously, if I'm training myself and I'm doing an exercise where I can't, like physics, for example, a dumbbell fly, unless I'm doing that on the floor, if I fail with the dumbbells away down here, it's going to be nasty on my shoulder. So I'll push myself until the last rep's really, really difficult, and then that would be me.
Got you. Okay. You're doing that from your very first set then?
My very first working set.
Set. Got you.
So when I'm warming up, obviously, if I'm doing the bar for bench press, my 20 reps, I wouldn't fail on that anyway. But if you're warming up, then you're warming up. You're not working, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So how long then would you take? So if I'm doing right now, I'm super restricted in the gym, but like rowing, I can still row and I can pull quite a reasonable weight for rowing, but for me anyway. Yeah. So I'm doing my first set, man. I'm getting to a point where my first set's actually it's not easy, but it's easy enough. And I'm not hitting failure on that set.
Right.
But then I'm taking like a minute's rest, minute and a half rest, increasing the weight and then going again. And it's starting to get a bit more difficult. And then by the third set, my last couple are a fucking grind. So would you recommend then me bumping that weight up and getting to that point that it's a fucking grind right from the first set, and then maybe taking a longer rest and then still increasing the weight for the next one?
Yes, for your working sets, yes. So if you're how many sets would you say roughly you're doing
I
per
do
rowing?
either 3 to 4 sets I'll do, depending on my time. If I've got time, I'll push up to 4, but normally it's around about 3. So
And what kind of rep range are you doing for those?
10 to 12, sometimes a wee bit lower. If I'm going for a heavier weight, I'll go to 8 to 10. So
Yeah. So the best thing I could suggest is obviously warm up with your pick a weight that you could do, for example, 20 reps with, and it's not difficult, but you can feel yourself getting through that, through the motions, and then do another set with say 10 reps, but
okay.
the weight would still be light. It wouldn't be 10 reps that you would struggle with. But obviously it's going to be heavier than the weight that you've done 20 reps with. And then I would say you could even do another set of 5 reps with slightly more weight. And then I would say go into your working sets there. And to be honest, 2 working sets per exercise is enough if you're doing it to, the absolute max potential.
Yeah, okay.
That's where it goes back to obviously guys doing the working sets and not putting all the effort into it. But if you're putting all your effort into those 2 working sets, then they're going to be enough. Ultimately.
Right, okay. I feel like I'm going to be, I'm going to do that. It's my leg day tomorrow in the gym, man, and I normally walk out like I've just been fucking touched inappropriately for the gym after a leg. I think tomorrow's going to be fun. Right, I'm going to give this a shot, man. I'll give this a pop tomorrow. Right, that's interesting. That's okay, cool. That's because I've always pushed. I've always done. Excuse me. I've always went to that kind of last set being a grind, but it's been on the last set. So the first set's been reasonable, it's been difficult. Second set is difficult, increasing the weight, and then third set increase the weight, but it's a fucking grind on that last set. That's always been my methodology. So that's interesting, man. I'll definitely give that a wee pop tomorrow. And how much are you resting in between sets then? Are you 2 minutes, minute and a half?
Yeah, about a minute and a half, roughly. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for the bigger exercises like squats and deadlifts and stuff, it's you'll probably, if you're going heavy especially, you'll need a wee bit longer to recover. But for example, if I'm doing bicep curls, I'll try and limit that to about a minute and a half rest max.
Yeah. Aye, nice, man. You just quickly, you touched on something there as well. For anybody watching this that doesn't know what a compound exercise is, man, it's the compound of your big ones like your squats, deadlifts, anything that's using more than one joint. So if like a bicep curl is an isolation exercise, you're only using one joint to make it happen. A compound would be like a press, you're using your elbow and your shoulder, so there's more than one joint coming into action. So that's a compound move. Those are the big ones, man.
Those are the important ones for beginners.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, for sure, man. Get on those bad boys. What's just this is actually a question. I think somebody asked this. Did they ask this? I don't know. Just while we're okay, we'll ask a question just quickly then. So Matt, so what's your favourite exercise in the gym? And then we'll go into Matt's question because it kind of bounces off this.
My favourite exercise. That changes for me. It changes for me week to week. Right now, I'd probably say bench press. That's what I've been enjoying the most. But I could guarantee next month that it'd probably be like pull downs or something like that. Tricep rope pull downs. I really enjoy them as well.
I love the feeling.
I'd probably say rope tricep pull downs actually, because that's one that I never get sick of. So rope tricep pull downs.
Yeah, I love when I've done a good old set of them and I walk past the mirror after it. It's like, brilliant. So let's flip that then. What's your least favourite exercise? And what's your least favourite body part to work? This is Matt's question. Matt's asked this. What's your least favourite body part to work, and what exercises do you do for that body part?
Again, that varies, man. I don't want to pinpoint a body part because, like I say, it varies week to week. But I'd probably say back, just because I find that the exercises to build lats are the hardest.
Yeah.
And the exercise that I hate the most is a T-bar bent over row. That's my least favorite exercise, but it's one of the best for building thickness in your back.
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
I'm not a fan of the back either. I find that I can get a lot of response from my chest. Like when I work my chest, I can feel it. I know I've worked it. I know when I've worked my shoulders. I know when I've worked my legs. When I do my back, it's like
yeah,
I can't feel it responding. It's a fucked up thing, man. It's really weird. So yeah, no, I get it.
yeah, it is a tricky one to get the actual part of your back that you want to activate.
Yeah.
Activate. It's a tricky one. So yeah, thinking of it as back, that's my least favorite.
Yeah, man, for sure, dude, for sure. Back, fuck back, chest all the way. Won the bench press.
Just a quick point on that. He asked what exercises I do for it. Pull ups and pull downs, those are the ones that provide width of your back. And the rowing exercises, those provide the thickness of the back. So
Yeah,
it's just a wee tip there for your back.
yeah. And what do you class a deadlift as? Back or legs?
I would class that as, well, it is both, but I'd probably say more legs.
More legs.
Yeah. I feel it in my glutes, which is the bum cheeks for anyone who's
Yeah.
yeah. I feel that deadlifts hit the glutes and hamstrings most for me. Anyway.
I think if you're doing them right, I think if you've got the technique right, I think if your technique's a bit sloppy, you're feeling that all lower back, man. That your lower
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Deadlifts and squats are very important that you nail the form.
Yeah, man.
Well, every
Yeah.
exercise is important, especially the compound ones. But I say those two are ones that you really want to master with a very, very light weight before you start adding big weight.
Yeah. See, just on the squat, actually. So I think Jeff's watching just now. He asked me this question the other week. I don't know, Jeff. I don't know if you're still watching or not, man. But you asked me this the other week. What are your thoughts on the Smith machine for a squat? So my view on it is just. I mean, before we can dive into your, I don't mind it. It's okay, but there are drawbacks to it because it's removing that whole core stability aspect of it. It's very much rigid in its design, so it doesn't take into account individual variances. So there's a lot that, while it's maybe a bit safer, it's not giving you the correct movement pattern. I think it's better to maybe lower the weight down, even just to an open bar, and fucking dialing in that form with just the bar, and then starting to increase the weight. I mean, where would you stand on?
100% agree with you. If you're struggling with squats, the struggle that most people have is that their back tends to, when they come down, they tend to lean over with their back as opposed to keeping it up and down like that.
Yeah.
If that's you, then I'd suggest even doing just body weight squats, because like you say, if you rely on a Smith machine, you're restricted in where your body's going to be. You know that the Smith machine will decide where you are, as opposed to the free squat. You can, like you say, you're engaging more of your stability muscles and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely try and do free weight squats. And if you are struggling, then I'd suggest starting with, like I say, just a body weight squat. That's something that I done religiously in my room. I had a mirror set up to the side of me, and I would go down as super slow, making sure that my form stayed the way it should. Always checking the mirror, and I would do that religiously until it was perfect, and then I would add a bar, and then I would add the bar, and until that was perfect, I would add a 5 kg either side, and just work your way up like that. And if something that I hear quite a lot is that, oh, but what if there's bigger guys in the gym, and don't give a fuck about that, man, because at the end of the day, the only person that you're gonna injure is yourself, so it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely suggest trying to nail the free bar squat if you can. It's a great exercise.
Yeah, no, it is 100%. You feel it way more than just your legs as well. It's right
Oh
across your
yeah, man. I mean, it builds your abs. It's a superb exercise. Like superb.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, for sure, dude. Jeff, I hope that helped, man. I hope that helped you at all, dude. So, right, there was something else I was going to ask there before we start firing through these questions. Still on the squat. This is a thing. I don't know if anybody watched my TikTok yesterday or not. This one actually fucking fires me right up with your squats. just quickly, and I know Dean's got the same outlook as me on this. Stop with these half-ass fucking squat things, man. Or if you're on that leg press machine, stop with these fucking half-ass little reps and pile on loads of weight just so you can be like, oh, look how much weight I can lift. Fuck off. Get the weight stripped back and get your arse down, man. If you can't get ass to the grass, it's okay. Get as low as you can and then start working your mobility. Like, let's get your hips loosened up, but you need to drop down. Those half-arsed fucking numbers, all you're hitting your quads, and that's going to cause loads of imbalances. Like, you need to be getting your glutes into the action, your hamstrings into the action. Drop right down, man. Get your hips down. If you like, when I get Dean to tell you how you can connect with him on Instagram, if you go and watch his squat videos, man, his fucking arsehole's nearly on the floor. He's right down low with weight on his back. All right, there's none of that half rep shit, man. Get right down, then stand back up. Get the full engagement of all your muscles. It will make such a fucking huge difference, I promise. Like, that's me. I'm not going to rant. Okay, cool. So let's crack on with a couple of these questions, man. So, this one's actually big. I done a whole thing on this morning. What do you do? What do you do to motivate yourself on a cold, wet November day?
Right. First of all, I'd say motivation is a tricky word, because nobody's going to be motivated every single day. Especially me. There's definitely more days that I can't be arsed going to the gym than there are days that I can be arsed. The biggest thing is just be disciplined. It's really hard for people to do. It's hard for me to do. I'm sure it's hard for yourself as well, Iain. But as you'll know, once you get to the gym, once you get a couple of reps going, you're fucking fired up. It's like, yes. And then that's where it comes from, man. And doing that repeatedly, the more that you force yourself into the gym, the more that you realize, fucking hell, this feels good. And then afterwards, you feel fantastic. That doomy gloomy day is gone. You feel relaxed, you feel content, you feel happy with yourself, man. And like I say, just forcing yourself into the gym on those days that you can't be arsed is definitely going to be the best way to get consistent and get results.
Dude, for sure, man. And I don't know about you, man, but see on the days that I do feel motivated, obviously you feel good when you come out because you're like, yeah, fuck, I feel good. See the days that you're not motivated and you go and do the fucking thing anyway.
Yeah, you just feel superb.
Yeah, man. And then naturally, what happens if this is your baseline and you can make yourself do something the days where you're feeling shit, your baseline automatically lifts because you're
going up. Yeah,
for sure.
And then the days that you are motivated, you're like, fucking woof, out of this world, man.
Fucking right. Who is your favourite strongman? So Matt says his is Sig Marson. So who's your favourite strongman or favourite? I don't know if you even mean bodybuilder or whatever else.
Strongman is not really something I follow, but Eddie Hall is always quite a cool guy. I've seen him at the Arnold Festival in Birmingham.
Yeah.
In terms of bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger obviously is one of the main ones for me. Frank Zane is another one. I'm not so sure if anyone will know who that is, but he was a guy from the 70s. He was 5'9", and if you go and check his physique, he was a smaller guy, but like every muscle was proportionate, everything was symmetrical. And to me, that's what bodybuilding should be all about. You know, it was a nice tapered, slim waist.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's one of the guys that I really look up to in terms of physique. But overall, I would say Arnold for his physique, his personality, stuff like that. So and another one,
In the gym as well. Arnold was a monster in the gym, man.
yeah.
Gee.
I mean, the thing is, if you look at those guys training back there, they're all about that mentality I was saying about going to failure, really, really pushing yourself. Yeah, I mean, the guys these days, obviously they're massive, but for me, that's not the approach that I want to take.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much any bodybuilder from the 70s is who I look up to.
Yeah, nice. Like it, man. So Benji has asked, what is your biggest fear for later in life?
Not being able to work out would probably be my biggest fear. Not being able to do something, you know, whether it be weights, running, jiu-jitsu, you know, like I said earlier, I've always got to be doing something that's moving about.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, probably being unable to do that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine anything worse, man, than just like I see people cutting about and it's like fucking hell, like holy shit, like they're no like I look at my dad. My dad's sat on the couch. His biggest source of movement is this fucking remote control. I'm like, oh my god,
No.
that would kill me, man. Ah, fuck that. Right, we've got 3 more. Cool. Are you good for time? I've got about
yeah
6 or 7 minutes, man. So and then I need
to we'll fire through them.
So Jeff has asked, how do you approach goal setting and then adjusting your goals once you've hit them?
Always set your goals. Always set small goals is my main thing, and make sure they're realistic as well. So for me to say that by next month I want to have gained 10 kg of muscle, you know, that's very, very unrealistic.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, I've just actually recently finished a goal of mine. It was I gave myself 8 weeks to get into a low body fat percentage, and yeah, I mean 8 weeks isn't that long to stick to you know a nutrition, a very restricted nutrition plan to get that low, you know, bodybuilding percentage body fat. Obviously, that's not for everyone, but for me, that was a goal that I'd set myself, 8 weeks. And yeah, I just once I've hit that, I'll say, right, this next 8 weeks, I want to improve my bench press strength by 10 kg.
Yeah.
Kg, or, you know, just little little builds up like that. But
yeah, okay.
Just make sure they're realistic and achievable. Because
that ties in really with what I teach a wee bit. I teach really like set fucking huge goals, man, that excite you, but chunk them back. Like chunk them back.
Yeah.
So like you say, man, I was speaking to a guy the other day and he was saying, oh, you know, I want to lose 30 pounds in the next fucking 2 or 3 weeks. Chop off your tits and your belly. That's struggle. Do you know what I mean? You might manage it, but you'll never stick to that. Do you know what I mean? So let's look at that. Okay, 30 pounds in the next 3 months. That's achievable, man. That's achievable. It's a stretch, but it's achievable. And how do we work that back? Let's look at a pound a week. Let's fucking work on that. Let's get to the gym every day. Let's focus on the process. So yeah, no, I like that, dude. It's kind of but I think what I like there as well is you've hit the first goal of body fat percentage, but then you're like, okay, now I want to increase my bench. So you've made it a different sort of outcome. You know, it's going to be the same thing, but you've changed the outcome. See, you touched on the nutrition thing, man, and I speak about this with my guys quite a lot. Like I hate, it's not that I hate it, man. I don't promote restrictive dieting, but I know it has its place. Yeah. And I think something that people get confused with is they think they have to do restrictive dieting all the fucking time. So you just did a restrictive period there. Yeah. So just this is for everybody, because I speak about this a lot. How long do you stick that for, and what happens when you're finished? Because you're not doing that all the time, are you?
No, absolutely not. Like I say, that's why it was 8 weeks. Because the longest I've done was 16 weeks, and that was for a bodybuilding competition. Yeah. And that, you know, as you say, if you were trying to stick to that full time, you'd just go berserk. It's impossible. It really is impossible. But yeah, like I say, 8 weeks, that was enough. Right now, I'm still eating good food because I don't promote, right, I've done 8 weeks, so I'm going to reward myself with shite every day, because that's not, that just puts you back to square one.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I'm enjoying my food. I'm eating clean, and if I want a cake, I'll have a cake. If I want, like that weekend there, I was out with my pals on the bevy and stuff, and I'm back to it today. I've had my good food today.
Good.
But like I say, if I've not got a lower body fat percentage goal, then I eat what I want, but I always eat good food.
Boom! There we go. That's
because it makes you look good, but most importantly, it makes me feel good. That's what I find. If I eat sugar and shit all the time, I look bad, but also I feel bad. I feel drained and sluggish, and it's just not for me.
Yeah, man. It's got such a negative impact on the body, man. I had loads of Kevin's fucking Halloween sweeties last night, walking around trick or treating, and I woke up this morning like,
oh yeah, man. Yeah, it really is.
Oh, it was pish. Excuse me. Right, the last question. So Rab has asked, this is vain, he says. No, it's not, brother. How do you grow big arms?
How do you go big arms? Well, first of all, your tricep, which is the back bit of your arm, is a lot bigger than your bicep. So a lot of guys will go into the gym and do loads of bicep curls. Oh, I want to get big arms. You need to focus on the whole arm, and most importantly, the tricep, because, like I say, that takes up most of the arm. But what I would say is you want to be doing the compound exercises, especially if you're a beginner, because if you just go in and you do biceps and triceps every single day, one, you're not going to get enough recovery, because when you train, when you lift weights, what happens is your muscle breaks down. You need to then consume a sufficient amount of protein to repair that burnt out muscle, and you also need to give your body time for that to happen. So things that play an important part of that is sleep, protein intake, and given enough days between each time you train that muscle. You need to have sufficient time in between for the growth to happen. But like I say, you want to be focusing on the compound exercises until you build a kind of base. Like you want to build your body from compounds first, and then start adding in more bicep exercises and tricep exercises on their own.
Yeah, because the thing as well, when you do the compound movements, you're hitting all those muscles anyway. So you're doing your triceps to press. If you're doing rows, you're using your biceps to pull. So you're hitting them anyway. So
I mean, chin ups and stuff, that hits your biceps, it hits your lats, which is your back. And what you want is an all-round body. You don't just want big arms and like a tiny wee chest and tiny wee legs,
Yeah, don't skip leg day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it doesn't look good, and also you're very imbalanced. You find that quite a lot with guys who do chest a lot. Their shoulders are all hunched up like this.
Yeah.
It's not good for you, man. So what I tend to tell my guys is hold your body as a body,
Yep. Maybe I've got a few of my guys just now. Actually, they're going through they want to do a push-up challenge through November, so they're doing like 100 push-ups a day. And I'm like, look, it's fucking brilliant you're doing that. It's awesome. Like, you'll get great development, you'll get better at push-ups, but you need to make sure that you're doing the back. Because if all you're doing is smashing out 100 push-ups a day here, you're on your phone all day.
That's what's going to happen.
You're going to be fucking walking like this. So get the back working as well and stretch things out and get that symmetry. So cool. Rab, did that answer your question, man? I don't know if you're still watching or not, dude, but I hope that answered your question. So, and Scott said, it's not vain at all. I don't really train my arms, but I do more compound lifts. There we go. I was always told that training your triceps will make arms bigger. Is there a bigger muscle? There you go. Exactly what Dean said. Yeah. Sweet. Scott, you just validated it. Well done. Right, guys, listen, I could keep on talking about this all day because I've thoroughly enjoyed this, man. It's been really insightful. I'm going to go to the gym and destroy my legs now tomorrow with Dean's advice. So wish me fucking luck. I don't think I'll be running on Thursday. I had planned for some hill sprints on Thursday, but that might not happen. So I've clearly been half-arsing my workouts, so I'll fix that. I'll be jacked by Christmas. Fucking right. So listen, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your questions. If you do have any more, make sure you drop them in the chat here and I'll make sure Dean gets to them. Or failing that, Dean, how can people get more of you, man? How can they get contact with you if they want to kind of come and say hello?
Instagram's the best way to get me. My name on there is just Deanzil. So that's Dean followed by ZIL, all one word, all small letters. And if you've got any questions, guys, I mean, I'm always happy to help people. Fire your question over there, and yeah, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But I thoroughly enjoyed this as well, Iain.
I'm just 2 seconds, man. I'm just popping that in the chat so people can see it. But it's popping up. There we go. That's it. Yeah. Sorry, man. What are you saying?
I'm just saying I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's good to give something back to to the people that are really interested in it.
Yeah, dude, it's been great getting you on, dude. It's been super insightful for me. I've been doing this stuff for a long fucking time, and I just learned a lot. So yeah, I hope you all learned something from that. I hope you all took something from it. And please go. I've just dropped Dean's Instagram handle in the chat, so make sure you go and connect. Jump on, ask some questions, man. He'd be more than happy to help. He knows his shit. He's like I say, he's strong as a motherfucker. And if you look at his pictures, man, he's fucking ripped to the bone. So yeah, awesome stuff. So yeah, Dean, thank you so much. This has been awesome, guys.
Pleasure, man.
Well, and I hope maybe one day we'll maybe get Dean back in again because I have learned a lot. So
yeah, definitely up for that, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to go and do a school run now and get wiped all over on my legs with bogies and stuff. So happy days. I can't wait. Right, guys, take care. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Hey, guys.